who'd just come in, and we weren't intoxicated. This just struck us all so funny, and we forgot that it was late and that people were trying to sleep, and the guard did come out and ask us to move on. We were staying there, but that's very...
I've never been, in my younger days.
That counts.
Yeah, in my younger days, but we always had as a rule, if we went out together, we came home together. That was the rule, set up, and trying not to drink too much where we couldn't navigate, although I've done that a couple of times with Chippy following me. But as I got older, no, I became boring. Actually, I've become very boring.
See, and
It's very sad.
My family, I bet almost every one of them has been asked to leave. In fact, one bar gave my dad beer to leave. They said, please take this and go. And I'm the one in the family that was always the sober driver, so I never had...
My father was a bartender, but he never drank because he was allergic to alcohol. He couldn't drink. So when I was a little kid, and if my mom was a waitress, if she was working and Dad got a call to go work at a bar, and they didn't believe in babysitters in those days. So here I am, a little 4 or 5 year old kid sitting in a bar because my dad had no place to put me, washing glasses or looking at the pretty bottles behind the thing, and watching the people come in and get plastered in the middle of the day turned me off of people that overdrank.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's probably the best thing instead of being with a babysitter.
Now I am so boring I don't drink at all. But I've never been, sometimes we got a little bit too loud and people's heads were turning, and then, I was always probably the more responsible person in our groups, and I would notice that, and I would say we should be probably kept,
you kept from getting kicked out.
Because, I'm the one that observes, and I'm usually now a designated driver, so, but...
Boy.
I know. It's so boring.
Hey, but at least you had a time when you weren't boring.
Yeah, in my 20s, yeah. I remember one time we went to a party, and they had all kinds of different alcohol, and I decided to try one after the other. I found out you don't supposed to mix drinks.
I've only drank really twice in my life, and one was like that.
Yeah, and
I
tried to drive home, and I was driving my mother's old Chrysler Imperial, which is probably bigger than this frickin' room, and it was December, and I was so bummed, and I had to go to work the next morning. This is a cop party, and the cops that weren't invited were waiting down to catch whoever was drinking down at the bottom of the hill. And it was cold, and I rolled all the windows down, blared the windows. I'm driving on the Pasadena freeway slow, which is a good tip-off. And if you ever seen the Pasadena freeway, it's very narrow. And I got home, got into the house. My mother had the heater blasting. I smacked into a wall.
Oh.
By the time I woke up the next morning, I couldn't even move. My hair literally hurt.
Oh.
So I called my sergeant and told him I couldn't come in to work, and all he did was just laugh hysterically. That was the last time I ever drank that
No sympathy whatsoever.
No, none whatsoever. And that was the last time I ever overdrank. And I was 20-something.
My first time I drank, I was okay. The second time I drank was my sister's bachelorette party, and I was like, I'll have some white wine. Oh, I'll have a margarita. And the big joke was I had never drank before with them. And so when I got home, I lived by myself. And I woke up the next day. For 2 days, I laid in bed. I thought I was dying. I had dry heaves. I was like, I'm never doing that again. It was horrible. And I would live by myself, so there was, nobody take care of me. Oh, and the room was fit. It was horrible. And that was enough for me.
Worst one, champagne headache.
I had champagne and wine and margarita were my mix.
I don't know what champagne can do to your brain, but it hurts it.
Oh.
God, it hurts it.
I'm a very lightweight.
I wasn't when I wasn't
and
in
I
my
don't
20s.
go over my, when I went to school after high school, I trained at a hospital-based program and had to work the emergency room sometimes. And seeing the drunks come in and getting rid of their alcohol cured me of ever wanting to drink.
Oh, it probably did.
Yeah. That was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never ever ever did drugs of any type, and I would hear these people's excuses because because I says, oh, shut up, Donna, I hate whiners. Let's go to our next topic.
All righty. Okay, being understanding.
Well, that was a perfect intro.
Yeah,
right.
Yes. Let's see. What is the most difficult aspect for you to remember when trying to be understanding?
I should ask my husband this question.
Well, according to my husband, I am nasty and I have no tact, which is absolutely true. He says, you don't have any kindness when you talk to people on the phone. I says, they have to earn my kindness. I really am. I don't.
Oh, remind me not to call you.
I don't suffer fools greatly.
Lately.
Yeah, and I have when people tend to not understand what I'm trying to say, which I understand is supposedly convoluted when I'm saying things, because I'm not linear. Go around the circle to get to my point, and it drives people crazy, which drives me crazy because they can't understand, because what I'm saying to me is perfectly understandable. So I don't have patience.
You know, I think you always take everything from your own perspective. And I think it's difficult to try and put yourself in the other person's shoes. There's always another story. There's always more to this story. Everybody, I just always think there's so much more to everybody than what we're seeing. But we're making these snap judgments, and whether you can be understanding or not based on one little bitty narrow thing. I always try and think, okay, there's a whole lot more going on here.
That's the nurse in you.
Well, I wasn't a nurse. I was an X-ray technician.
It's the medical.
It is the people. Yeah.
You're a people person.
I always try and give everybody the benefit of the doubt, and to understand that there's a whole lot more going on than I'll ever know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I think you're right. Everybody has their own filter. And I can remember in 8th grade, our social studies teacher, we get into class, and the first thing he puts is empathy up on the board. And I'm like,
what?
I want to learn about, Africa, and why am I empathy? I'm not in English class. I don't understand. And that's the one lesson I've never forgot, because he said, that's the most important thing in the world is empathy. Mr. Scourge was his name. He was a fabulous teacher. And that's one of the things, because I'll get frustrated. It's like, I think I'm making perfect sense. I don't understand, why you don't understand it, why you don't agree. And so I always try to have empathy and put myself in their shoes. And,
It's hard, isn't it?
It is hard
very
sometimes,
hard.
especially when it's, I don't understand a lot of hate. And so I always try to break it down to logic. And there's some things I will never understand, and I don't have a tolerance for, like, racism or anything that's hate-filled. And I don't.
And you never will.
Well, and I don't try to. I try to understand their point of view, but I will never agree with it. And so, I'll get frustrated sometimes if I think I'm logical, and I'll break it down to logic. And if they just won't follow logic, it's very frustrating. And so I try to listen. Listen is probably the hardest thing, to really listen. And try to at least understand. I might not agree, but at least try to understand where they're coming from.
I worked many different places in the police department. I was civilian, but I worked many different locations within the police department. And a lot of times I had to listen to people complain. And you sit there and you hear these people, and you try to be sympathetic. And I remember one call I had. This guy lived in a certain area of Los Angeles where he shouldn't be living in, and he kept getting assaulted. And because he was one color and where he was living was the projects. And I'm sitting there going, move. Leave. You won't keep getting assaulted. And he says, you guys don't do anything. And I finally blurted out, you're a professional victim. You are. It's just, you get to the frustration level where these people say things, and of course then they call Internal Affairs, and then Internal Affairs comes down and talks to you. But I mean,
And that would be very frustrating.
It is.
At some point it's like, take care of yourself.
Well, it is. It's
Wait,
common
look at-
logic will
Yeah.
say to get away from the area you keep getting
Yeah.
insulted. So at that point, I can't have empathy for people.
Yeah.
It's just not there because they won't take care of themselves to get themselves out of a situation. So I can't be, I can't have any empathy, because you're just saying, common sense tells you to get out,
Yeah.
But it's kind of hard. Even when I listen to family members
Mhm.
complain about something, and you sit there going, unless it's medical, if it's other things, it's just,
Get over it. Yeah.
Yeah, and now we got to pick 2 more topics.
2 more topics.
Well, and it amazes me how many people complain about things that are not that big of a deal.
Not, at least not to us.
Well, or not in, like you
In
said,
the
it's not
scheme
your
of-
health.
in the whole scheme
yeah, in
of
the scheme of
things.
life,
Yeah.
oh, my cell phone
Yeah.
doesn't work. I
Yeah.
might survive.
Okay, go right ahead.
Oh, I get
Okay,
to roll
yes,
again.
yes.
Sorry. 2.
Number 2, under friendship hurdles, if you are very conservative and your friend is very liberal, can you be close without having politics interfere with your friendship?
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
And we have a free-for-all.
And
Uh-oh.
a free-for-all.
And a
What's
free-for-
that mean?
That's we get to figure out the topic ourselves.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, I'm not going to read it.
Nope.
Secret. Secret. Okay.
We're going to go for a commercial break and pay our bills.
Just Between Us, a spontaneous, intuitive live television show with topics that are intended to inspire, delight, educate, and encourage. And now back to Just Between Us.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
Our free
We're
for all.
back.
Oh, we're back.
Hello. Oh, friendship hurdles.
You look cute with your glasses.
We're going to go right back into our next topic. We got some interesting.
We got chatty.
Yes, we got.
Okay, our next topic, friendship hurdles. If you are very conservative and your friend is very liberal, can you can you be close without having politics interfere with your friendship?
It's very hard, but you have to learn to keep your mouth shut, which is really
Which is even harder.
Oh, yeah, because... But it can be done if you just don't bring it up. But the friendship can't be that close then, because usually with a close friend, you open up regardless of everything.
But you don't think you can open up and not have,
not
like,
be
It depends on the person.
yeah, definitely.
If your friend, I can listen, no problem. Matter of fact, we have a family member who's, very, very liberal, and he can have a good debate if they're willing to debate and they're open-minded enough not to take offense.
Yeah.
I had a family member on my side where I stayed, and I think they thought because I came from California I'd be like them, and they were in Chicago, and they said something, and I just, so I don't hear from them anymore.
Oh, jeez. I think one of the biggest problems we have actually now in politics is that very problem. I should be able to disagree without being personally attacked. And it's funny because if you look at my friends, I call it the common sense, middle of the road. I'm not one extreme or the other, but I have friends that are, I have an old teacher, I laugh, I said, he's so liberal, he's not even liberal, he's socialist,
Yeah.
and he's my friend. And then I have the super conservative, Tea Party, everything should be, in a very narrow window. And for me, it's all about, I don't have to agree with them as long as they're, it goes back to hate for me. As long as someone's not hateful or hurting someone, I'm all about live and let live. Hey, that's your thing, not my thing. But, I might not agree with it, but there's also other things about you that I respect and that I like and I enjoy being around. And as long as, and I like when we can state our opinions and they're different, because I don't want
Well, I don't like cookie cutters.
Yeah.
Well, and I think there's so much labeling, whether it's in politics as to if you're a liberal or you're, conservative, whatever. Just be allowed to have opinions.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
you're a liberal in some areas and very conservative in another. I don't look at it as politics because I think I absolutely hate politics. So I just feel it is what I think. And I don't think in a particular direction because it is liberal and that's how I should go. It is what I am.
Yeah, I don't vote a party line.
Yeah.
I vote for the person who I think will do the
the
best
best job.
Best job, that sometimes tends to be the part, or if I don't like them at all, I just won't vote for that.
I do
office.
that.
I'd rather have Donald Duck or somebody in,
Donald Duck.
But I grew up in a very political household, and I grew up in 50s and 60s. I was born in the, so I was, my teenage years were in the 60s, the height of the.
Yes, me too.
And I remember when I was finally, in those days at 21 you could vote. So I remember when I came back home from registering to vote, and I told my mom, just for fun of it, that I registered Democrat. I thought she was going to kill me. And I had to keep going, Mom, I'm kidding. And, she was looking to see if she could collect on my life insurance. And so, but I mean, that's how my family was extremely political. Wow. I mean, we discussed it at the table as a small child.
I think that's good.
I
think that's good.
I was reading opinion pieces in the newspaper as a kid.
I think that's good. Yeah.
See, now my family was, my mother would volunteer at the polling station every time, and I still am not even sure, but I think they belonged to two different parties, my mother and father. They never talked about, disagreed or anything, but, I knew they supported the process. They supported, everybody having their opinion. My dad was always much more opinionated than my mother. But it was never, and we still disagree. The four of us, you can get four of us in a room and we'll disagree about just about everything.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
As long as you can listen and not
they're not going to disown me.
Battled over it.
Yeah. My mom had a friends, and he was one political party, she was the other. And one side of the car had all the bumpers for that person, and the other side of the car. I mean,
I love that.
Oh, it was just hilarious. And and she was from. I don't know if she was born in this country or not, but it's really interesting when you talk to people who become citizens. Mm-hmm. They're actually a heck of a lot more informed.
Oh, then we.
Oh,
yeah. I watch these shows where they go on man in the street type thing, and people can't even pick out a picture of Obama, let alone, and they vote. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God, this is the people who are arresting my security. But I think. I don't care what your opinions are or what side you're on, but at least be informed.
Yeah.
Informed before you check off in the ballot box.
Yeah. And that's hard sometimes. It's hard. There's a lot of, I've gone, voting before, and it's like, do I really understand, especially the propositions? They get so detailed and so deep and so conflicting.
Oh, yeah. You ever read that language?
Oh, yeah. I was like,
who writes that way?
Well, and I'm thinking, do I really should I be making this choice? Do I really understand this enough?
Yeah, I actually go and sometimes read the synopsis with the breaking down, so it makes it understand all that legalese.
Yes.
And then I look who endorses.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes that can give you a
clue.
clue.
Who's going to pay for it?
Yeah.
Like that train.
Where's
The train. I'm like,
from?
okay, that would be nice, but how are we paying for this?
I know any bond and everything where they says you got to raise money, I just vote no for it. How are we going to afford it?
Yeah.
How are we going to afford all this stuff? So I just say no to anything dealing with money. It's just, show me where it works. It's like our highway funds. Show me a good highway. Where is it going, And let me see where I go to it. And we go through our free topic. Does anybody have a free thing you want to talk about? I do.
Oh, perfect. Really? Okay, good. Really? I'm bringing this, and not really.
Oh, I can talk to a turnip. I have guests coming, and my husband's cousin's coming out with her 7-year-old. So I'm going, how am I going to entertain a 7-year-old? Because I've never had any children. I don't know. I have dogs, cats. I don't know about kids. Anyway, so I went to the Chamber of Commerce to go, which is just down the street here. And so I get all the things so I could see. And I'm realizing unfortunately, county, there's not much here to entertain a 7-year-old.
Really?
And yes, sure, there's to go up to the caverns and stuff like that, but there's no water park. There's no amusement area in and around. Outside, you go down to Sac, or you go to Jelly Bellies, which is way out in, was it Fairview? Or something like that. You have to drive distances to go to entertain children. And I'm saying, that is sad. This county is so beautiful. Why isn't there an entrepreneur who's willing to invest into this county, or and include Calaveras and some of the other counties, and build something that's for children, for up to something like a water park or an amusement center or even a decent miniature golf or something. I mean, where is this entrepreneurs for this county?
See, I think we've got rivers and lakes and hiking.
Yeah,
and
but that's wonderful. But if the kids coming from an area that has a lot of that, there's no amusement. Kids get bored after a while, especially 7-year-olds.
I've been hearing this my whole life. I was born and raised in Ione, and I've been hearing, there's nothing for the kids, nothing for the kids, and I'm like, really? Because we always had something.
Well, yeah, because you're local.
Right, and then my niece, who's 8, and I'm from the different take. I'm like, we'll go, to the Railroad Museum. We'll take her some, but for the majority of the time, I don't think they need to be entertained. It's like, take them out to Howard Park with a ball. Diedert Park, one of my favorite things was, drinking out of that big elephant or that lion head. Or they have the 2 pools in Jackson and Ione where you could spend all day, because kids love
and Sutter Creek has the pool.
Or take them to a hike to Silver Lake. I think just the opposite. I think there's a ton to do.
I do too. It's just not where you pay an admission and
somebody else entertains them.
We'll take them to talk. We'll do that.
There's the movies. They can go
they have dollar movies at the theater. I'm like, that's great.
I'm trying to think of what do I do with I have grandkids who are 11, 12, and 13 now, but they've been coming to visit us from Missouri. So they left this area when they were 2, 3, and 4. But we are never bored, and yet we never take them outside of the county
to be entertained.
Yeah, my daughter will sometimes go to Sacramento.
But see, we're also trying to entertain friends. The adult also. So
well, that could be hard.
That's she's it's her and her son, and so it's we're going to take them down to the Jelly Bellies thing.
How about Roaring Camp? That's supposed to be a kick.
It is, but if you got it on the right.
If it's not the time.
That's the time. And we got to go for a commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Just Between Us, a spontaneous, intuitive live television show with topics that are intended to inspire, delight, educate, and encourage. Just Between Us.
And we're back, and let me introduce ourselves again. I'm Sandy from Jackson.
Linda from Sutter Creek.
Andrea from Ione.
And let's get into our next topic.
I got to roll. 3.
On being you.
Uh-oh.
What is the one fault that you feel you need to change?
I have a list. Just one. I got to pick one.
And we're going to have another free-for-all. So let's get right into this topic.
The free-for-all? Or
no,
this
one.
This one. What is your fault that you think you need to change?
Everything. I wish I had I'm impatient. I have 0 tact. I can be really abrasive.
But that makes you.
But I was going to say, but on the flip side of that, there's positive things because you are that way. People always know where you stand.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate that. I like not having to guess what somebody's trying to say.
Yeah, to the fault, I'll say I have got to the age where I don't care what people think of me anymore because they're not going to be coming to my funeral, so why should I worry?
And that's only going to get worse, as we go.
I don't have a lot of friends, which probably explains this. But I am kind of caustic. This is my mother in me, is I'm a know-it-all. I come across like that I know it all. And that was my mother's trait.
Do you feel like you know it all?
Sometimes,
okay.
Yeah. Sometimes.
And I do.
And I do, yeah. But that was my mom. My mom was very much that way. Yeah, but she was more of a people person. I'm not much of a people person, no. And I'm not perky. I am not a perky person.
Oh, geez, I have a list. I would say listening is hard for me. I get really excited and tend to, talk, and, I need to, relax and take it in instead of, it's like, I want to say everything and then I want you to tell me everything. So I think that one. Procrastinating. That's one that I've always struggled with. And then I would say, I don't know the term for it, but, you know, when you're dreaming about something and you want to do something, kind of that not taking the leap or not taking that kind of, I tend to hold on to things longer than they need to be in my life.
You got a goal, but you won't exactly take that leap to go to that dream goal.
And it's not even that I set a goal. It's when something's passed, you know, when it's becoming a drain, I tend to still
hang on.
I don't let go. You know, I have that tenacity. It's like, no, I'm not going to give up. And it's like, well, it was so much easier, you know, a year ago. Just because once I do it, it's like, oh, that's such a huge relief. So that holding back, I don't know what you would call it, but that kind of hanging on too long.
Terrier.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. People,
What
it's
dog
like,
are we?
I got bucked off once, or I didn't even get bucked off. The horse just turned real quick, and man, I did not let go of those reins. And then as I'm being drugged, I'm thinking, well, this is silly. Just let go. And when I did, everything was fine. But it's a bigger, you know, that's kind of my metaphor for my bigger thing in life.
The horse.
Yeah, I do the same thing with, you know, everything in my life. It's like, oh, don't let go. So how about you?
I know. I'm thinking. I'm sure I have lots of faults. Isn't that what? Yes. What fault do you need to change? Probably thinking through all of my different little life scenarios that I deal with every day. The fault that I need to change would be trying to make everything right for everybody. See, there goes back to that little nursing thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And it's draining. And you can't.
No.
And you can't take that all on. I think it's good to a point.
Oh, yeah.
To do it. You do have empathy for people, but it can also be draining.
Yeah.
So I would love to change that. Working on it.
Yeah, I have a very bad habit. There's certain things I could do very, very well. I see puzzles fast. That's upstairs.
Oh, okay.
Earthquake. I see puzzles fast. You know, I can see solutions.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if I'm standing over somebody's shoulder, and I
want to get right in there.
And I tend to snatch things out of people's hands, which utterly.
It's that patience thing.
Yeah, which utterly makes my husband want to kill me.
Yeah, I probably have that with my husband.
And
how long have you been married?
26 years.
Okay,
But it's my first marriage, but I waited till I was 38 to get married.
Oh, that was smart.
Well, I had my own house. I had my own bank account. I had a good job. Why do I want to share? Seriously, why do I want to share? I mean, I could take care of myself. If I need to screw something into the wall, there's butter knife.
Why complicate?
Why complicate life? Yes.
Oh, how funny.
And so it wasn't a case of needing to get married. It was, okay, I'm ready.
It's a good,
Yeah, I'm ready.
Time now.
It's time, you know. And so that's what I did. And we've been married 26 years, and I have absolutely no idea because the word DIVORC goes in my brain all the time. And I'm sure it goes into his all the time.
Oh.
But yeah, the impatience trait is really super bad in me.
I didn't used to have it, but as I get older, I mean, I used to be kind of, when I was a teenager, everything was good. I was kind of...
Oh, you slept a lot.
Clueless. Yeah, I'm clueless. And as I get older, I get much more impatient, especially with my husband. He gets, my mother has a tone, and I now have that tone, where it's like, the words I might be saying are okay, but you can definitely tell by my tone that I'm irritated. And I hate that tone, and so I don't...
Is that grating tone that I've been told that I have. Yeah, it's... Of course, he's a saint.
Of course.
He's just patience. Yeah, right. But
it's that tone that my husband says implies that I'm telling him he's a complete idiot. Like, really? You know that? How could you? Yeah, that tone. That I'm not thinking he's an idiot, but I guess that's what it comes across as.
Yeah. I also have a very bad trait that I've developed lately is interrupting people and getting my thought across because I lose it so fast.
I do that.
I can't hold them so far. I mean, if I don't write it down, it's gone. You know, Gary goes, why are you interrupting that person? I go, because if I wait till they get done talking, I won't remember
get to say it.
I won't remember. It's just so bad. You should see when But when I get together with my girlfriends, we're always constantly interrupting each other because we all have the same
the same issue.
Yeah, I was like, why are we here? I don't know. Do you remember your name? No.
See, my family talks like that. We all talk at once. So my husband's like, that is so rude. You keep talking. I said, that's how my family talks. We don't consider it rude. It's just, you just jump in.
And I have a very loud voice, but that was my mom's side of the family. My mom's family is Bohemian, and my grandparents came from the old country, from Czechoslovakia, and they all spoke Czech. Well, they, you know, I just kind of understand it, but I never really spoke it. And we're very loud, and when we get together, we all talk simultaneously. And my husband has like canine ears, and he flat out refuses to go visit he's never met my relatives in Chicago. We've been married 26. We've actually been together 30 years. The only one he met was my mom's youngest sister, who came out for a visit, my Aunt Pat. We were more sisters because our age difference wasn't that great. And we were so talking, and we were so loud, he would go outside because he
just can't handle it.
He can't handle it. And he flat out refuses to go and visit me because he wouldn't be able to take the sound volume, you know. It's just, and he's one of these that doesn't talk a lot, you know.
Can't get in there.
No, and he's very quiet, and, you know, he talks softly. I'm good. What? You know.
See, and maybe that's why you're attracted, because my husband's the same way.
Is it?
I talk, and he's like a quiet guy who sits in front of the computer all day. He could go all day long without saying a word.
And not bother him.
Oh, we drive cross country, and we get books on tapes because otherwise the silence would be deafening. You know? But one time we were in a grocery store back in visiting his relatives in North Carolina. And I can just talk to anybody. I stand in line and I talk to people. And he was standing there, and I'm walking around, and he yells my name, and he throws a turnip at me and goes, and I caught it. He says, now, here, have a conversation, as loud as he could. All the other people in the grocery store are laughing hysterically, and yet you know you can't do anything because you have witnesses. And they might report you. So you're sitting there going, oh, that's cute, sweetheart, you know, as you're scratching the turnip into your mush, you know. But I think it's time for us to go to another free topic. What do you guys want to talk about?
Well, during break, we were talking about the drought. You want to talk about drought?
Sure, that sounds great. Go ahead. Start.
Oh, great. Well, we're in a drought. That's bad.
What do we do?
Yeah. Well, I know you had mentioned that they're talking about starting to do, like in L.A., starting to make really drastic.
Yeah, there was something posted on the internet that L.A. really doesn't have that much water to last more than, I think, 2 or maybe 3 months max.
Yeah.
And they're going to start doing draconian mandatory water cutbacks, and there's a rumor going out of SAC that they're actually going to start limiting people who are on their own natural wells.
Which seems hard to me. Wouldn't you first do the, like, I'm on amateur water? First, I would think they would implement something, because how do you do someone's individual well?
Unless they
go
put
meter it?
I don't know.
And then you get into, like, my parents have cattle and they irrigate, so is irrigation more important than a pool? And, you know, that you just get into a whole lot
I think, and not only that, because of the drought, it was on the news that because we're in a drought and certain other states are in the drought, especially western states, that milk, beef prices, everything's going to go sky high because we're not growing as much. We cut back on our fields here. We cut back on the cattle that are here. And so everybody is going to suffer because of poor us.
Because of poor us. I know we had a drought in '76. I can remember as a child. It was real close to the same time as we had the gas lines. And I think both of those were huge for me in the way I thought growing up, because I was at an age where I could know what was going on, and we had a well, so there was no, washing the car.
And we're going to be going to a hard break? Or okay, we're going to go for a break, and we'll come back with a hot topic.
Just Between Us, a spontaneous, intuitive live television show with topics that are intended to inspire, delight, educate, and encourage. Just Between Us.
We're back. You really should see our in between commercial breaks. We're going to go right to the hot topic, and we've just gotten one that we're going to discuss the rights of individual businesses having the right to their own logo without being sued, and we're talking about the Washington Redskins. To me, that name's been there since the 1930s. It's proprietary. They got sued. They lost all their copyrights. Can you imagine the expense that the franchise is going to have to do to try to change the name? I mean, they've been known as the Washington Redskins forever, and I don't really see it as a racist comment. The Indians used to paint themselves red when they went into battle. And the football team is going into battle, so I don't see where it's a racist statement.
Yeah, I think it gets hard. I know, I always think of intent. Like, I'm visual, so I will explain someone, oh, you know, he's the short black guy with the green eyes, or, oh, he's the bald guy with the, you know.
Meaning no disrespect.
No disrespect, it's just what it is. And I don't
Yeah.
think things like that are racist. I think we've gotten to this over politically correct society, and I'll never forget, actually, Whoopi Goldberg was one. When she first started out, she had a show called The Spook Show. That was her stand-up. And, the people were upset in the NAACP. They boycotted all this stuff. Well, then years later, they gave her an award, and when she accepted her award, she called them out on it. And she said, you know what? When I first started, you guys said this was racist, you know, and now that she's famous, it's okay, everything that she did. And I liked her take on it. There's some things that are hateful and racist, and there's some things that the intent is not to be racist. And I'm not sure, I don't know enough of the Redskin how it came about, if it was considered a racial slur.
No, it was actually suggested by a group of Indians.
Well, see,
back
and that's
in the
the other thing.
1930s, a tribe.
Yeah. And I try not to be offended for minorities,
That's what
since I'm not
I've
a
heard.
minority. I'm like, when I hear someone say something, it's like, well, I'm not Indian, so I can't. I
It's
don't
hard
know
to
if.
speak.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
if it's offensive to them. I mean, I'm a little tiny bit Indian.
But what bugs me is, when is somebody going to be upset with the word Google? When is somebody going to be upset with the word the IBM? What's the word Hewlett-Packard? Where does it stop? I mean, anybody can take offense. Some of our English words in foreign countries are insults.
Yeah.
Vice versa, you know. So where does this stop? I mean, are we that thin-skinned that we have to have such political correctness that we become so bland that we're so afraid of offending anybody?
Well, and it kind of goes back to what we were talking before. It gets to where everybody's so afraid. You're not even real because, well, I can't say this and I can't say that. And even though there's no bad intent behind it, nobody's trying
Just
to be
so guarded.
Yes,
So guarded
yeah.
about what you're saying.
And it is a slippery slope.
Well, yeah, it is.
But wouldn't you love to sit down and speak with someone who, with regard to the Redskins, who really had an issue with it for themselves personally, not a political, nothing political or anything else. I'd love to hear their thinking behind it. Why is it that it is offensive
well,
to
from what
them
I understand, it
personally?
was about five from I don't even know what tribe that were offended, and if they had done a concise polling of every Indian in this country to have whether they were offended or not offended, then I would say that's a legitimate, you know. So let's find out.
The majority.
Yeah. You know, but I'm sorry. When Indians used to go in battle way back, certain tribes go in battle way back when, they would paint themselves. That's how they became known as the Redskins, because they used to put pigment on their face when they went in battle with the colonials or whomever, the French or whatever, and that was how that nickname was attributed to them. It's not as an insult, is that they had no other way to describe them because they didn't know who the heck they were. The word Native American was not in because there was no America.
Right, yeah.
You know, hello. You know, so that's how they describe them. But my theory is being named as a tribal, if I was Indian, I would be honored to know that they're still recognizing us as a force to be reckoned with. You know.
Yeah, and I think a lot of things that people take are politically correct. You know, when people say, you know, oh, we're going to play Cowboys and Indians. Oh, you can't say that. I'm like,
Yeah.
but a lot of the Cowboy and Indian thing, they are showing, you know, you would like to be an Indian. It's not always a bad thing, like, oh, there's bad Indians. It's like, well, Dances with Wolves. It showed a whole different take.
I grew up with Lone Ranger and Tonto.
Yeah.
Hello, Tonto was the smart one.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I'm not going to go over there, Kemosabe.
Yeah,
Idiot.
I'm gonna,
You know.
exactly. So I think people get really caught up in being offended by things when the intent isn't necessarily there.
Too sensitive.
Yeah.
But then we're not them.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I
I'm not.
wish-
I'm a little bit Indian, but not enough
Yeah,
to matter.
no, I'm,
Oh, that's like my husband. He's got Cherokee in him because he's from the Carolinas, and I'm sitting there going, yeah, he's not offended. I mean, you know, it's just, I don't understand this, but it's taking people's proprietary rights away from them, or their logos away from them, or their names away from them, I think is incorrect. And we have to, on that, I've been told we have to go to a break.
Just Between Us, a spontaneous, intuitive live television show with topics that are intended to inspire, delight, educate, and encourage. Now back to Just Between Us.
And we're back for our wrap-up.
These boys are entertaining.
Yeah,
I
they
know
are.
they are, and they're informative, too. You can call the station at 223-4877, or fax us at 223-4866, or email us at bookme@tspntv.com. And we would like to have, if you want a topic to discuss or anything, we would love to have some new, fresh ideas. And is there anything you girls would like to... Oh, am I allowed to say girls?
Yes, you are.
Oh, I called them boys. I'm like young men. I don't know. Well, see, politically correct. Here we go.
I know.
I'm not offended.
No.
Yeah.
I'd love to be a girl.
Well, actually, when you get past a certain age, you like the word again.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, no, I enjoyed being here again.
I do
Very
too.
much.
I've been gone for 2 months, so I'm back.
And you're usually the host.
No,
No.
Susie's normally
Oh,
here, and
okay.
Martha's here, and then they get fill-ins. So
Got it.
we
We
rotate.
rotate in and out. Yeah.
So this is your first time on.
I was on when it very first started.
Oh, okay.
One day up here, years ago, and then today.
And they let you
And they let me back. Well, yeah, it was funny because I was supposed to be on the show, and then they needed a host for the AM show, so I was the host and on the show. And then she goes, "And can you stay later to be on?" And I was like, "Sure, I'm going to be up there. They're going to be sick and tired of me, but I'll be there."
You're back.
You're back.
Yeah,
Well, it's been fun.
It's been very nice.
it is. Yeah,
It feels strange sitting in this chair.
Yeah,
It does. It does.
Where's your normal chair?
Yeah, huh?
Where do you
Usually
norm-
I meant right there.
yeah.
I usually read the topics.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Geez,
So-
they must only trust me with the dice because the last time that's what I did.
We got to say goodbye.
All right.
Have a good day and enjoy Amador County.